Party time! P-A-R-T. Why? Because I gotta!
Scotty in the house. Guys, I want to ask you, why in the world do we keep supporting a two-party system that does not support us? For example, my Republican friends, how many of you actually smoke cannabis or consume the product or use hemp in some form or way of some sort? Whether it be lotion on your skin, CBD to help calm you down, THC to help you with a range of ailments that cannabis has proven to be beneficial for. I don't understand why we keep aligning ourselves with party politics. The Republicans obviously don't want cannabis. They never have. They never will. Their donors don't allow for it. Okay, that's the number one issue, is the majority of these politicians are in the pocket of big pharmaceutical companies, which is owned by who? I'll give you a hint. It's the tiny little hat people in a country over there in the Middle East, no bigger than the size of New Jersey. That is who owns our pharmaceutical company, and that is who pays the majority of these politicians. All right. And then on the Democratic side, I don't know how many of you guys like to keep paying taxes. Like, that's absolutely ridiculous. Every corner we turn is a new Democratic tax, and I know the Democratic people aren't for all of these taxes. Keisha Lance Bottoms, I promise you, will open up the playing field for data centers to come barging in, eating up all of our property, taking all of our property via eminent domain, using our water resources, using our electric, footing us with the bill, all right? And I'm not saying Republicans aren't going to do the same thing. Of course they are, because they're all bought and paid for, and they're all on the same team. That's what I'm trying to get you guys to understand. And a lot of people are going to argue with me and be like, no, Republicans are different. Democrats are different. They're not the same party at all. When in fact, they most certainly are. They have you guys fighting at odds with each other all the time over BS that doesn't matter, while our country is being infiltrated by a specific little country over there in the Middle East, and they don't care about us. Once they're done over there, I promise you they're going to start coming in and settling here. They've already started to settle here. It's obvious to anybody paying attention. So my question is, why do we keep aligning ourselves with a two-party system that obviously does not align itself with us? It is time we jump off the two-party bandwagon and start voting independent. It is not hard to vote independent at all. All you have to do is put forth a candidate that can collect a certain amount of signatures for the seat that they're looking for by a certain deadline. Usually way extends past the primaries. And once you've completed that and obtained your signatures on said ballots, petitions, then you pay a fee, whatever the fee is, usually something small like $5,000 or $6,000. I know that sounds like a lot to the average person, but when you're campaigning for politics, you use the money that's donated to your campaign to pay those fees, amongst other things, like paying people to go out and door knock for you, signs, whatever has to do with your political movement at the time, or if you're using it for your political campaign, you can use those donations for your campaign. I would like to furthermore say that the two-party system has never had your back. They flip-flop all the time, and you guys will defend your party to the end, no matter what, like it's a sports team. Guys, we need to stop doing this. We're playing with each other's lives. We can talk to each other and communicate with each other like respectful human beings without being at each other's necks. Sure, there's going to be a lot of stuff people disagree with and stuff that people do agree with, but that's the thing I find funny. Majority of Democrats and Republicans will agree on most things. In fact, that's how this America First movement started. It was a bunch of liberals and a bunch of conservatives coming together and being like, yo, what is going on here? This is absolutely ridiculous. And that's how the America First movement started. And you got a whole bunch of people jumping ship on the Republican and Democratic Party. I beg the older generation, boomers and older Gen X, to please pay attention, okay? This is not about party politics. It's most definitely about a occupation of a country trying to take over the world, if you will. And they don't just use the two-party system in America. The two-party system goes all over the world. Okay, you can look at Australia, you can look at Canada, you can look at the UK. They use the same system, they just call it different names for the different parties in every country of the world. And this is all a system that is owned by the Illuminati, if you will, or the powers that be, or whatever you want to call them, the E-class, if you want. It's all owned by the same people, and we have to start recognizing this and understanding this. We all have to start voting independent, ditching the two-party system, which was never founded upon America, all right? The two-party system was a trap that was invented in the 1800s, and if you guys do your research on the Bolsheviks party, or the Bolsheviks family owns, and the Rothschild family owns both parties. They own all of our politicians. They pay them off, and there's only a handful that they don't. And all you have to do is go to trackapac.com to find out which of our federal politicians are being bought and paid for. And on a local level, all you have to do is look at the special interest groups that continuously donate to said candidate or party member. All right. I am not some rich mogul that's coming in for fame and power. I could care less. In fact, I wish I really didn't have to do this. I wish we had politicians that actually represented the people. However, it's time for America to stand up before we lose our country. Our youth cannot afford homes. Our youth is losing jobs to AI. Our youth is not procreating because they can't afford to. Like, we are losing our country little by little, and everybody that's calling me a Democrat or anybody that's calling me a Republican, saying I'm a useful idiot for the other side, or I'm pandering to the other side, or I'm going to help the other side with this message, you guys are part of the problem. Understand that. Take a good look in the mirror and ask yourself, what do you not like about your own party? That is where it starts, okay? Taking the log out of your own eye before telling your brother to take the speck out of his. 100%. And that's my message for the day, is please ditch the two-party system. My name is Scott Ellison. I'm running for governor of Georgia as an independent. I still need a ton of signatures. If you guys care to reach out and help and support this message, please reach out to me, Scotty at scottyellison.com. You can message me on Facebook, Instagram, X. I respond to all of it. This is the message, guys. Like, we really have to drop this two-party system. It's not good for Americans as a whole, and all it does is make us fight with our neighbors, people that you might actually rather enjoy in your personal time because you guys share the same hobbies or the same interest, yet you're letting some political BS argument keep you guys at odds and ever stopping each other from communicating in the first place. Start talking to your neighbors, start respecting people how you want to be respected, and then calmly talk about the issues that are at hand and try to come to an agreement with each other instead of being at odds. And if you guys can't come up to an agreement, just agree to disagree. It's not worth the hate in this world to continue arguing with each other over something as stupid as politics. And you got to remember what politics stands for. It's policy. It's policy set by politicians, which should be working for the people, not the corporations, to better benefit humanity, their state, and their local levels. That is it. The whole job of the government was to defend the people and uphold the contracts of the private sector. It was never to get involved in the private sector, and that's what government keeps doing on a daily. And they continue to vote without the people being present. If I were governor of Georgia, I would be coming online every single night on my own YouTube channel to let everybody know what their senator or what their House of Representative or their city councilman is doing in their county, their state, their city, not their state, obviously Georgia, but their county, their city, their local ordinance, whatever it may be. I will call it out on camera every single night. I do not care. It is time to weed out this corruption. My name is Scott Ellison, again, running for governor of Georgia as an independent. Please hit me up if you're interested. Thank you, guys. I appreciate your time. All right, guys, I'm going to end up editing this last video I just did. So if you see it come down and go back up, this is why. Here, let me set my mic up properly. Sorry if you heard a little pop pop. But so I think this video is actually extremely important for the majority of Americans to watch. It goes into kind of the founding of our country. Sorry for the headphones as well. Again, I'm re-editing. But I do want everybody to watch this clip. This was sourced on PBS. So this is PBS explaining exactly what our political system shouldn't be, and what George Washington, the founder and the first president of our country, said about political parties.
Political parties are the gatekeepers, and in many ways, I think Americans actually invented political parties, but what the irony is that our Constitution was written before political parties existed. So we have not as many kind of formal procedures in place to assure their centrality and to assure that they can serve this gatekeeping role.
Very early on, the North and the South were clearly at odds in their interests. As a result, political parties began to spring up throughout the country, but two in particular, Democratic Republicans and the Federalists. Federalists were the party of Hamilton. Democratic Republicans, the party of Thomas Jefferson, James Madison. George Washington is the only president to have never declared allegiance to a political party while he was in office. His biggest issue was that the factionalism in America was clearly driven by self-interest, and that people and the head of political parties and constituents were invested in their own interests at the expense of others. This was a problem because power would then become the priority. Instead of the betterment of the nation, instead of improving the democracy, working towards stability, all of that would fall to the wayside.
And that's exactly what I've been trying to explain to people. Like, when you subscribe to a political party, you're subscribing to everything they believe in and everything they want to do, regardless of whether or not you want to do it or you believe in it yourself. You may absolutely hate the policy, but because you're a Democrat and because you identify as a Democrat, you have to stand up for that particular issue, whether or not you know it's absolutely wrong. Let her continue.
As long as a party could maintain power. And if it was all about power, then corruption and decay were close behind.
George Washington, in his 1796 farewell address, specifically said, don't build political parties. He said, once we build parties that are against each other, Americans
go back
will start
so you
fighting.
guys can get her name and the source.
He said, once we build
and decay were close
Should have done it with this one too, but
George
whatever.
Washington, in his 1796 farewell address, specifically said, don't build political parties. He said, once we build parties that are against each other, Americans will start fighting each other, and they will stop paying attention to the threats from other countries. And that will open us up to not only threats from other countries, but also will allow other countries to take advantage of these internal rifts that we have and manipulate us and distract us from the project of perfecting American democracy.
Sounds like a country with tiny little hats that supports the blue and white colors out in the Middle East that can't stop unaliving people. That's who it sounds like. Just,
And so that was his warning. And then in the election of 1800, we had parties. We made them pretty much right away.
At every stage, the major political parties in the United States had.
That's when the Bolsheviks started to kind of infiltrate. They came in with their party system. We adopted it. Madison and Jefferson were both Freemasons. So that's, there's no surprise there, I would say, as to who started the two-party system. And if you go back and you look deep enough, you can understand the origin of it very well. Two-party system was never intended for America. It was definitely an infiltration from the beginning, and we just keep falling into the trap every 4 years like clockwork, because you've got to represent and support your party. The other person's stupid and dumb and they don't know what they're talking about because they're a Republican or they're a Democrat. Stop that shit. You're the retard for keeping on with this circus. That's who's the real dumbass. Excuse my apologies, but wake up. Seriously, this is a trap. This is not good for America.
Made claims about democracy that were predicated on what the leadership believed the nation needed. And at each one of those moments, whether it was in the 1800s or yesterday, there is some flaw in that calculation. No party can say that they have had a seamless or perfect history of conceptualizing democracy. And each party has.
And just for a little historical background, the Democratic Party was the original racist party. They're the ones that actually wanted to keep slavery going, and the Republicans wanted to stop slavery. They said, okay, we'll do it by state, and, you know, if your state wants it, cool, but we're not really cool with that, and we're going to legalize it up here. And then the South wanted to secede from the United States and create their own little Confederate nation, if you will, and the North is like, no, you're not doing that. Just stop slavery. What the F is wrong with you guys? Literally, it was the Democrats that started slavery. It was the Democrats that wanted to keep it going, and then all of a sudden, somewhere in the like late 1800s, oh, it flipped. But if you do your research, you'll see it was the Democratic Party, and the Democratic Party was the original Freemason party, if you will. Owned by the guys with tiny little hats in the Middle East that aren't even really that religion. You can't really say it because then your video gets, you know, banned and shut down. But they were actually gypsies, believe it or not. They were gypsies that infiltrated the religion and have everybody thinking that they're Jewish, if you will. But it's really a bunch of gypsies that were that came from Eastern Europe and started infiltrating religion and started rewriting books and started just infiltrating little by little by little by little by little, because that's what they do. They're very good at manipulating, infiltrating, and getting you to fight with your neighbor instead of looking at them and being like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Anyway, this video is only 2 more minutes long, and then, or 3 more minutes long, and then we'll call it a day.
It's a responsibility to reckon with those failures in the past and provide people with something better for the future. And I don't think any of the political parties have done that in a way that is convincing.
We need to see the reforms of our political parties. Because right now, the way that our political parties are structured is that they're also focusing on the extremes. You know, and we're basically having people fighting things out rather than looking at consensus. All of our politics is described in terms of win or lose, victory or defeat, not about how we create coalitions, both within parties and across parties, to get things done for the American people. It's all about, how do I win? Politics has become like Mortal Kombat, and politicians are like avatars in a video game where you just have to blow people away, you know, to win. That's not how politics, you know, should be working, and it's not how, you know, politics in the United States was envisaged. It's just how it has become over time.
I think there is a real danger that losing candidates from either party are going to stop treating their defeats as legitimate. We have seen some of this in both parties. We saw it spectacularly with President Trump and the 2020 election. And we have to rebuild a political norm against this kind of sore loser political behavior.
It's called
It
independence.
has to start with each party showing less tolerance for its own members when they indulge in this
100% what I was
kind of
saying earlier.
irresponsible rhetoric. We saw Democrats question the 2000 and 2004 elections and launch objections to it on the floor of Congress, and they seemed harmless to a lot of Democrats at the time. I would like to think that some of them have reconsidered that after seeing what those kinds of objections helped encourage after the 2020 election.
We should not assume that democracy just means 2 parties. In fact, 2 parties often means a lack of imagination and maybe, you know, lack of new ideas, really. In the late 19th century, a period of great economic transformation and also of, you know, the economic depression of the 1870s, the 1890s, you had parties pretty much forgotten today, like the Greenback Party, the Populist Party,
Independence.
other local labor parties in various cities, which
The original party,
you know,
independence.
tried to really crack the hold of the 2-party system on our political, alignments. It seems like we're stuck with these 2 parties right now, even though a lot of people find neither of them all that appealing. I wonder what would be the result for American democracy if we really had a more multiple party system, as many countries do. Some places it works very well, some places it doesn't work all that well. But it helps to get new ideas into circulation.
Leave it, folks. Leave it quick.